Hey, y'all, it is another week of the Late Night Vision Show, episode 230. We have a great show for you today. I'm excited to be back with you. We've got a little bit of a stretch between now and the end of the year, but we've got a lot of content. I've been working overtime, thinking up some good ideas, mixing up all the good stuff. A little underappreciated by my co-host, Jason, the owner of Outdoor Legacy. He since I'm the executive producer, it's up to me to come up with all the content for the shows. And I've got us planned out, Jason, between now and the end of the year. So what do you have to say about that, sir?
I have to say that, folks, if you have never seen somebody go out publicly live on the internet and try to get a raise, you have now seen it. That is exactly what you've seen.
He
that is pandering for
That's
a
right.
raise, but in front of an audience.
Yeah, I came up with all these show ideas, and you said, "Are you working for a bonus or something? What are you trying to do? Who are you trying to impress?" And bring back Hans
towards the end of the year.
Yeah,
so I know what that means.
Bring back Hans, whatever you did with him. But no, we've got so much stuff, and we've got some great topics, some topics that I'm very excited about. But somehow we've got to squeeze in, and we don't know how we're going to do it, y'all, but we got to squeeze in our best of series. And Jason and I have been planning it out, or trying to plan it out. It's going to be just packed this year. Very, very full. Yeah. So
I don't know how we're going to get it all. And we really thought that we were about done with our reviews. And there are some optics that are still popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, I'm going to tell you real quick. Hey, let me tell you what this show's about, just so you know, so you don't click off. I want you to stick around and listen. In just a couple minutes, we won't drag this out. We're going to be reviewing the brand new for 2022 late summer Pulsar Axion 2 XG35 and XG35 LRF thermal monoculars. So we're going to get to those in just a second. But speaking of Pulsar, they've got some more stuff coming down the pipe, some stuff that is getting released right now. We have got, and dadgummit, they're sitting over here on a table next to me. I didn't want to have to get up there. I didn't even think about this, but I'm running a battery test. It is the Pulsar mergers. Now, these are a set of high-end thermal binoculars. And they're 640 high resolution laser rangefinder. They have sent us one to basically test and demo review. Guys, this thing's legit. These are going to be expensive. These are going to come in. They're about almost $6,000, $5,900. These are the real deal if you're looking for something like that. We have got to get a review of these in. So I would say if you're interested in that, stick around, watch the Late Night Vision show, because we will be reviewing those in the coming weeks. I'm actually running the battery test on these right now. I wish I could show you. These things look so awesome.
Oh yeah, you sent some video to me of some things that you've been doing out in the backyard and taking video of some hogs, and it looks really good. So, gosh, a lot of people have been asking about the mergers, and looks like they're finally going to come in here at some point.
They're legit.
Yeah,
they
are.
They're the real deal, and I've had them out in the field for a couple nights, and I've been very impressed. We're gonna keep messing with them, and so stay tuned to that. But Hans, let's jump in. I know guys are tired of sitting here listening to all this.
No.
They want to know what we're going to talk about today. So let's jump in.
Our loyal fans, they just they would love to just sit here and have us chat about nothing for 45 minutes.
I'm sure that one guy.
Yeah, the one guy. All right, so we are reviewing the Pulsar Axion 2 XG35 and XG35 LRF, not to be confused with the little brother, the XQ35 and XQ35 LRF. If you see an XQ, that means 384 resolution. That's a 384 resolution Axion monocular. If you see the XG35, that means 640 resolution. So we are reviewing, again, the Pulsar Axion 2 XG50 and XG no, I'm sorry, not XG50. I was thinking about the scope. XG35 and XG35 LRF. And Jason's got both of them. He's going to be doing the walk around. Going to tell you what comes in the box. A lot of people have been talking about how they like that we talk about what's in the box. We haven't done that forever, or we didn't start out doing that, but we do it now. It's important. Let you know what comes with it, because that's a big question that pops up. So Here we go, running down the specs. We're going to be showing some video as well, so if you're listening on the audio-only version, you want to know what the picture image looks like, hop on over to YouTube. This is a 640 by 480 thermal core resolution, 50 hertz refresh rate. It is a 12 micron unit, so a lot of people, they always wonder is like, what's better, 12 micron, 17 micron? If you're not familiar, the higher the resolution number, the better the picture image. The lower the micron number, the better the picture image. It's not always, it doesn't always mean it's going to be better.
Broad brush.
But it is a broad brush for sure. It does have an AMOLED 1024 by 768 display, built-in video and audio recording with 16 gigabytes of internal memory. This is not an internal SD card. We get that question a lot too. It's just internal memory, kind of like a mass storage disk that you can plug into your computer. But 16 gigs of internal memory on that. It does have Wi-Fi. Starts out on 2.5 power and goes up to 20 power. So it's 8 times digital zoom. As most of you know, if you don't, every time you double your magnification, you're cutting your resolution in half. So, it does start out at 2.5 power at 640 resolution and goes up to 20 power. Just looking through here, the field of view, 66 feet at 100 yards. The battery life. So Pulsar says the battery life is 7 hours. Here's what Jason found out with his battery test. And I'm so glad, Jason, you do these battery tests because they are the worst. I feel like I'm married to it. I got to sit there and watch it all day.
You're babysitting this thing. And,
yeah.
and guys, that it's like people go, well, how hard is it? Well, when you get down to the end and you're literally having to babysit, twice a minute, look through the thing, and you never know how long it's going to go.
I hate it. I'm glad you do it. So with Jason's bench test, and this is inside his house or office, basically, he got about 6.5 hours of runtime. It started flashing red at 6 hours. So conservatively, what I would expect out in the field use, 5.5 hours is probably what you can expect to get in normal weather conditions. And just keep in mind, in cold weather, no matter what device you have or any batteries that you have, it's going to cut the runtime down significantly. But this runs off of a removable, rechargeable APS-5 Pulsar proprietary battery. You can take the battery out. You can have an extra battery. The batteries are about $80, but you can take them in and out. Have one or two in your pocket ready to go for all you guys up there in the really, really cold weather. Detection range, 1,300 yards. We'll be talking about the ID range a little bit further. And then what the weatherproof rating, IPX7 waterproof rating. The weight, it says it's 0.3 kilograms. I don't know what that translates to, but it's light, very small.
So, I was just looking because I wondered if you had done that. So while you were talking, I looked it up. It is about 10.5 ounces on the non-LRF,
right?
And I think it's about 11.5 or 12 ounces on the LRF model. There's very little weight.
It's as light as a feather, y'all. As light as a feather. Now, the most important thing, the price on the Pulsar Axion 2 XG35, the non-LRF model, just the model without the laser rangefinder. The price on that's $29.99.97, and the XG35 LRF, the one with the laser rangefinder, it's exactly $500 more, $34.99.97. That rounds out our specs. Jason, you're going to show them what it looks like. Show them what's in the box.
Right. I am going to show these units here real quick. Let's start with. I'm going to hold one up in case you haven't seen it. So here is the laser rangefinder model. You can see that. I'll do a quick walk around in a minute. And then here is the non-laser rangefinder. Exact same thing without the rangefinder on the side. Okay, let me show you the box real quick, just so you know what it looks like. Okay, it's really bright with all lights, so you probably can't see that well. This is the box. It's a box. It's a nice box. It's a box. All right, there you go. You've seen a box before. It does come with this padded bag, and it does have a strap here on it. Some guys, I get that question a lot. Does it come with any kind of a bag, any kind of a case, whatever? This is a nice padded case, so if you wanted to throw this thing in the front seat of your truck or in a hunting bag or something and you wanted to protect it, you can absolutely do this. I will tell you, I'm going to sidetrack here for a second, but I get that question a lot. And I go, do I need to have this thing protected all the time when it's, I'm carrying it around? Guys, you don't. These things, I mean, Hans already told you, this thing's made to be, submersed underwater. It's fully waterproof. These things are built tough. So I understand you spend a bunch of money on it. You want to take care of it. I highly advise that. But don't feel like you've got to treat this thing with the white glove, all the time. If you want to put it in this, I mean, if you're going to throw it in the back seat of your truck, yeah, put it in this. But if you're going to throw it down in a hunting bag or something, I wouldn't worry about it. It's going to be fine. You're going to have no issues. All right, so this is the bag. Nothing fancy here. Does have a USB cable for charging. It's got a little cloth lens cleaner. I've already pre-prepped here. I'm kind of like one of these celebrity chefs, everything except I'm not a celebrity and I'm not a chef, but I have pre-prepped. I took everything out of the box, and I want to show you this. All right, so here's what the battery looks like. This is an APS-5. You're going to get one of these. Now, this is important. People get really confused about this. There is 2 of these little caps in the box. And normally it's already on your battery. And if you'll look at this, I know you can't see this well, but it just slides. Well, I'll show you. Slides on there, okay? Now, when you go to put this battery in the unit, which let me see which one of these doesn't have it. Here we go. This doesn't have it. You slide it right in here, and then you can twist and lock it, all right? So this, the point I'm making is, if you buy a spare battery for these, I get this all the time. People, they get the battery and they go, wait a minute, it doesn't have that little twist cap. What am I going to do? Well, if you look in the box, you've got a spare. So here is a spare little cap. If you need more, I'm sure that's something Pulsar could provide to you. It's not something they give to us dealers, so we don't have them laying around. But you can also, it literally, you just take it, you press it right off. So you don't have to have 10 of those. Even if you got 10 batteries, you don't have to. You can just pop it right off in the field. So just want you to see that. That's the battery. You do get one of the spare little end caps. You get the wall charger. Again, I already showed the USB cable. And then this is a funny little doohickey, and people look at this and go, what is this? I don't have any clue why, but I suspect it's got something to do with the way everything is laid out in here. This is your tripod, adapter. So it doesn't have the little female threaded jack in the bottom. It's got it in the front. Yeah. So you basically would screw this in, and then there on the bottom, now you'll have it. Again, most people aren't using these, but if you ever want to, it's in the box. There's what you need. So let me get this stuff out of the way. And all right, one thing you might have noticed that's not in this box is a cradle charger. So to charge this unit right out of the box, you will take your USB cable, and right here on the side of the unit, you'll plug the USB cable in, and that's how you will charge your battery. If you want to turn it on and look through it, you can see how charged it is. I generally charge them with the unit turned off, just because I figure it's going to take longer because you got the unit running and you're trying to charge it. But people ask that. They do not come with the cradle charger. That is an option. You can buy those separately, and they're about $60. We do carry those at outdoorlegacygear.com, so we do have those. But if you want to charge more than one battery at a time, it's a dual cradle charger, and you can pick that up. They do not come with it. Just want to be clear of that. All right, so this is the XG35 non-LRF model, as you can see. Couple cool things. Here's your lens cap. It is a nice rubberized lens cap. I'm not going to say you can't do it, but I haven't ever had anybody call and tell me that they've lost their lens cap or broke this off. You would really have to hang this on something to break it off.
Did you mention that you may have that it's got a magnet in it?
That's where I was going.
Sorry.
Thank you for stealing my thunder.
Well, you did say it on the last one, so I didn't want you to forget it.
Yeah. No, it is. That's where I was actually going. The only reason I'm showing this lens cap. So right here in your padded hand strap, by the way, this is adjustable. So if your hand's bigger or smaller, you can adjust that. There's a magnet in the hand strap, and it just clips right on. Man, it's really nice. It seems silly, but I like it a lot. Right up here on the front, obviously this is your front focus objective. That is how you focus the lens. And back here on the back, this is your eyepiece focus. So when you first get the unit, you can leave the lens cap closed. You'll want to look in there at the text on the screen, and you'll want to focus it until it's good and sharp. Then you open the front lens cover, and you'll focus it until the animals or whatever you're looking at are sharp and in focus. On the top here, blue button is the power. Then you've got your middle button is going to be menu, and these are going to be your up and down buttons. And you can do everything from starting recording, just pressing the button, zooming, what have you. You can do all that right there on the unit. Again, the battery goes right here in the back. This unit does not have the battery in it. I showed you how that slides in, and I've already showed you the charging cable where that goes. So this is the LRF version, 100% identical, except for this laser rangefinder here on the side. And then you can see there is your LRF button that sends the laser out. So I just want to show you what we're looking at in size here. This is kind of awkward to me to hold this up, but I just want you to see how small, even with this LRF, that this unit really is. And then if you take the LRF off on this model, I mean, it's small. I mean, it's very lightweight. I know we said about 10.5 ounces. I think you're going to be impressed with the size. I know a lot of guys ask, can I wear this on a lanyard? You can. I mean, I don't like something hanging around my neck. To me, it gets in the way of my rifle and things, but I mean, a lot of guys do. A lot of guys prefer it. So definitely this unit. The LRF, you can too. It's a little heavier to me. It would be too heavy for me. I'm a smaller guy. Maybe if you're a big guy, I just think it's a little bit bulkier than I'd want, but you could definitely do it. This one for sure you can. And guys always say, where will I connect a lanyard? Get creative. If it was up to me, I would do it right here on this strap, because this strap is not coming off. That's where I would do it. So anyway, you can play with that, make something work. But that's the basic walk around. That's what's in the box. That's the two different models. Again, just to be clear, you are getting one battery with it, and you can charge it by plugging it into the wall. If you only have one battery, there's no benefit to having the cradle charger.
That's right.
Okay, so I had guys like, well, I got to have a charger. I got to buy the cradle charger. Well, if you're not buying a spare battery, there's no reason to do that. And again, I'll just tell you the truth. If you plan ahead, you can charge one battery, pull it out of there, slide the other one in, leave it plugged in, charge it, and they're both charged. You're ready to go hunting. If you're in more of a hurry, you want to charge two at once, then you can charge three, because you could charge one inside of here and two in the cradle charger, however you want to do it. But just wanted to bring that up. Again, batteries are about $80 a piece.
There you have it, folks. Nowhere on the internet will you find a more thorough walk around and what's in the box reveal. I tell you, most people skip over that. Most people, kind of take that for granted. Skipping over stuff is not in Jason's vocabulary, y'all. He's talking about lanyards. He's talking about straps. That's why you tune into this show. Your favorite two night hunting addiction enablers, Jason and Hans, keeping it rocking and rolling through episode 230. So great job, Jason. Great job.
Well, listen, I want to say one quick thing before we get into this, just because we did not talk about this early on. Guys, if you're looking for one of these optics or any of the other Axions or any other Pulsar units, give us a call. If you're looking to purchase one of these from Outdoor Legacy, Hans and I want to help you. We want to make sure that you get the right unit for you. Maybe you've got questions about the LRF. I mean, is it really going to do what I want? Do I need that? Or, hey, maybe I don't need this XG. Maybe I need one of the other Axions, or maybe it's a Helion. We are glad to help you. Hans and I will be glad to answer any of those questions and then help you make that purchase once you've made up your mind. Our phone number is 877-350-1818, or you can find us at outdoorlegacygear.com. There is the shameless plug. Let's roll in to talk about what we think about this unit.
Well, I say we talked about it on our pre-show meeting, which is basically let's try to call as many people back as we possibly can while trying to plan for the show. And so it gets kind of scattered. But, I don't want to steal away too much from our likes and dislikes, but just from an overall 20,000 foot view of this optic, right now there's been so many Axions, Jason, in the past. You know, they've come and gone. The XM models, people can't keep up with it. It can be confusing because there's still older Axion models floating around on the corners of the website of the internet, and people trying to figure out what's what. So right now, again, like I said before, you've got the XQ38 and the I'm sorry, gosh, that was the previous one. The XQ30.
That was the previous model.
Yeah, so you got the Axion 2 XQ35 and XG35 LRF. And now you have the XG35 LRF. Well,
and hold on. I just don't.
And the XM
with the models. There's also the Axion XM30F.
Yes.
Now, F as in Frank.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the previous Axion XM30S as in Sam,
exactly.
which sounds a lot like F.
Exactly.
So Axion XM30F is their $1,500 entry level unit. So that
and that's a
so
3.
Right now
and,
there are.
And that's a 320 resolution. So
a 320. You're right.
Right now, I think the great thing about this unit is it kind of splits the middle between the XQ35 at the 384 resolution at $2,000 and what we think is one of the best monoculars on the market, if not the best, the Pulsar Helion 2 XP50 Pro at $4,000. So this is, the non-LRF model, the Axion 2 XG35, $2,999 is right there in the middle, and it gives people the opportunity to step up to 640 resolution in the Axion form factor without spending $4,000. So that's, I think, the biggest advantage. There's been a lot of people asking about the XG35, wanting to know when it's going to be here, what it looks like, because the idea of getting 640 resolution at $2,999 is very tempting to a lot of people when they can, step up and get a little bit more range and more ID range. And that's something else we also need to get into as well as the ID range before we forget.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, I think this is where it gets confusing because we like to kind of generally talk about it. We like to give our likes and dislikes and kind of like who we think it's good for. And sometimes that all kind of gets rolled into one. And I'm trying to not kind of jump ahead with our plan. I do think this is a good unit. I love Hans' description there of it being that intermediate between a $4,000, Helion XP50 Pro that I think is the best, thermal handheld probably out there on the market. And then, like you said, dropping down to a $2,000, which is going to be more of that, higher end of your entry level units. And so this is, it's a big deal. Pulsar has never released a 640 optic in the Axion line. They've never released a 640 handheld under what? $3,800. Used to be an XP. Yeah. There was an XP 38 Helion that was 38. It might have been an XP 28 that was 36 or something. I mean, that was a long time ago, old models that are long discontinued, very low magnifications. They've never done anything in this price range, and the option of getting the laser rangefinder on it again for $3,500. I mean, that's a big deal. So I think we need to go on because I'm fixing to go ahead and get into who I think it's good for and why. So let's talk about the likes and dislikes. I want to jump into a couple things that I've noticed, and I want to talk about it. So number one, I think that the videos you've probably already seen. I think Hans has showed some on here. I've got some good videos of some hogs, and I know he's got some stuff as well. Those videos you're seeing, in my opinion, don't quite do justice to the image quality you're going to see through this unit. When I was really excited the other night, I got on some hogs. I got really close to them, was out there getting some good video, and I was like, I called Hans, like, I got us some great hog video, and I downloaded it. I sent it to him, and I was like, while it was sending, I was like, this is not near as good as what I was just looking at through the display. And I can tell you what it is. It's softer. Yeah. It's softening the image up. And so I don't want to say it's night and day. I don't want to say that. But I do want to say I think the through the eyepiece, what you're going to see is a significantly sharper, crisper image. I got out there on some of my cows, and I was like super close. I don't know, 10, 12 yards. And I mean, it's just so sharp and detailed. And then I pulled the video off, and I'm like, well, that's soft. I mean, that's not what it looked like. So something's going on there in that saving the video.
We also need to make people aware, if they're not already, that that's very common, with what you see through the eyepiece look, and that's more often than not rare. I don't know if I can't think of a scope where the video looks as good as through the video as it does the eyepiece. So it's just that's what happens. That's just what it does.
Yep. So no big deal. I don't want to harp on that. I just want you to know, if you've seen these videos, I think it doesn't quite do it justice. Next thing I have noticed is, Hans and I are in East Texas, the land of high humidity. I mean, we keep very, very high humidity. It is, it's been summer. We have had these units for several months, and we have been using them. One thing that we've kind of been waiting to review these is because Pulsar had told us that they had a firmware update coming, and they said, well, listen, we think it's really going to improve this unit. And, it would be wise to wait and see what this firmware update does. So the firmware update is available. I think it's called 2.0 or something like that. You can download it. And, I advise you, if you've already got one, you need to download it. If you get one, you probably need to check it if there's an update, connect it to your phone. Because, and like I said, why did I bought it? Why isn't it already updated? A lot of times there is a delay between, this stuff literally leaving the factory in Europe, getting over here, getting warehoused, getting, you know what I mean? So there's a delay sometimes in that stuff actually being installed. So it's a really quick install on this firmware. I would advise doing it and making sure you've got it when you get one. With that said, I think it did, in my opinion, significantly improve the image quality. I'm glad we waited to review it, because I think it's better, and I really like it. But one thing I have noticed, and I think it helped with this, but in very high humidity conditions, no thermals are going to look great in super crazy high humidity. I do think this unit struggles a little bit in those really, really humid or wet conditions. Again, I'm in East Texas. It does not get any more humid really than where we're at. It would not stop me from buying this unit. But once you get in again, you get the humidity down into the 70% range, the low, it's much better. It's really nice, and it looks really, really good. And then we've actually had a little bit of a cool front come in, and, it's kind of dried up that air just a little bit, and man alive, images is even better. Definitely, I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it if you're in the South. I'm just saying be aware, and you get in those really, really humid conditions. I think it's just going to struggle a little bit. I think you're going to get a little more grain, but again, wouldn't stop me. Now, and Hans, I'm taking all the cons. That's okay, because I'll give you all the pros. I'll do this dirty work.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got stuff on my list. I don't know that this is a huge con, but I do think it would be nice if it came with that dual charger. I know in the past some of the Axions did and some didn't. I wish it was in there, but again, I think this is kind of one of those issues where Pulsar is trying to offer as much as they can and keep the prices, where they need to be. Not everybody needs this dual charger. I know guys that have never taken it out of the box, so it's like, we give this to everybody. We got to raise the price on this thing. We're trying to keep this price point at $29.99 and $34.99. So if that's what's got to be cut, okay, big deal. If you got to have one, you pick one up. I don't think that's a huge issue. I never use the charger, by the way.
I never use. I just always plug it right into the wall. Never use the
even my Thermion, my rifle scopes. My Pulsar rifle. I have no idea if I have one. It's probably still in the box.
Mine always just stays in the box. Yeah, for sure.
I'll say this: Hans and I have now tested all 5 of these new Axions, and I have yet to take a charger, a dual charger that I have sitting in my office, take it to my house. I've yet to charge one that way. So, all right, other thing. I have had some customers that have purchased these make some comments about it's 1 or 2 customers particularly said, hey, man, this thing nukes or calibrates all the time. And if I put it into semi-auto, I'm having to calibrate it too much. This thing is just repeatedly calibrating. All right, I'd say two things. Number one, I believe this new update, firmware update, helps that. Number two, I did some tests. I actually took a stopwatch on my phone, and I sat there and started seeing how often. I know, and it seems like a lot, and sometimes we can exaggerate. I had a customer tell me his was recalibrating every 5 seconds. And I was like, I was kind of like laughed, and he goes, no, it's every 5 seconds. And I was like, well, then something's wrong with your unit. If it's every five, yeah, it's every 5 seconds. And so I asked him to time it, and he called me back, and he was like, well, it was actually about 35 seconds. I was like, well, there's a big difference, you know? So sometimes it can seem like that. So I did some testing. When this unit's only been on a couple minutes, it does calibrate, or nuke as we call it, about every 28 to 32 seconds, twice a minute. As it stays on longer, and this is normal with all thermal optics, it gets shorter and shorter. After about 5 to 7 minutes, it was only recalibrating about every 42 to 48 seconds. After it had been on for an extended period and that thermal sensor had really warmed up, it was calibrating every 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. So my point in this is, if you turn these units on, and a lot of these Axions are this way, I don't know exactly why, but you will hear them click as they recalibrate, and it's click, and it doesn't seem like long. 30 seconds ain't long. Click, it's doing it again. Click, it's doing it again. Guys, when it warms up, it's going to get less and less and less. So I personally see it as a non-issue. I just had that brought up by 2 customers again before the update was done, and neither one of them had the unit for more than an afternoon. They had not left the thing on to see that calibrating actually goes down. So that's my, I don't think that's a con, but I want to bring it up so that again, the charger, humidity, again, I don't think that's a huge deal, but we want to nitpick these, guys. We say this every time we do a review. This is what we're here for. I mean, if I think it's a big deal, I'll tell you it's a big deal. But even if I think, well, it's minor, I want to bring it up. So there are the minor nitpicking cons. Now, Hans, tell them what's good about it.
Well, I know one thing. You're not getting a Christmas card from Pulsar this year. You can just write that off, buddy. No, I'm gonna.
Come on,
those
I'm
are
being honest.
Those are you're doing good. I will say, and you said it, and I'll say it. None of those cons are worth not going with this optic unless it doesn't fit what you're trying to do or your budget. Right. But so running through the pros again, this is the first 640 thermal core that Pulsar has put in the Axion body or form factor. So this is the first time they've done it, and the picture image on it is really good. Is a legit 640 resolution monocular in the smallest package, or one of the smallest packages you can find. People love the form factor of the Axion, small enough to stick in a pocket. Even the LRF, small enough to put in a jacket pocket or a small bag or something. I mean, they're just very convenient, very accessible wherever you're trying to, in the heat of the moment. And that's what when we're thinking about hunting, if you're trying to call in coyotes, or if you're trying to stock up on hogs, you've got so much gear with you. It's like, okay, where am I going to stick my tripod when I'm walking? What am I going to do with my rifle? What am I going to do with my bag? And you got your monocular, where am I going to put my monocular? It's nice to be able to carry your monocular if you're stalking up on hogs, or if you're, calling coyotes, to get out to your spot, have the monocular, and then to easily slip that thing in a pocket and not have to worry about throwing it on the ground because it's too big, or hanging it around your neck. It's not big enough that it's going to feel like a boat anchor around your neck. You're going to sink to the bottom of a lake. So I think the fact that you're getting a 640 resolution, a high resolution thermal optic in the small form factor of the Axion body is fantastic. Pulsar, all of the features are amongst the best of the manufacturers with it, whether it be more color palettes to choose from, very good, I would say very good video quality, outstanding audio quality. I love the audio that you get through the Pulsar products. The customer service obviously is Pulsar has a very good reputation with customer service. The fact that if you have an issue with your optic, it's going to be handled by somebody in their Fort Worth, Texas office or Mansfield office in Texas. So, you're not having to try to figure out where that thing needs to go if there is an issue, and they do take care of it very well. So all the great things that people love about Pulsar, you're getting all of that in a 640 resolution in the Axion body. It's fantastic. Like I said before, the price point $29.99, it is splitting the difference between the 384 resolution XQ35 and the Helion 2 XP50 Pro. So again, people that don't necessarily want to be in the 384 resolution, they want to have that higher resolution, you can do so at exactly $1,000 less expensive than a Helion, which, budget, at the end of the day, budget's probably the most important deciding factor for optics when it comes to people making a buying decision. And we see that, 640 resolution continues to get more affordable. And right now the quality is still high on some of this stuff. So, those are two big pros well, more than two pros with all the stuff that was talked about. But, this is, when I got this out, when I started looking at it, because there have been so many people asking about it, it definitely, I would say, met my expectations, and it might have exceeded it a little bit. But it definitely met it, which is good, because I always seem to get disappointed a lot of times when I look through an optic, because there's so much build up or so much hype for something. But this is, I think, a good buy if you want a 640 resolution monocular. If you don't want to spend, $4,000, or you can't spend $4,000, and I get it. That's a lot of money, but you want something higher resolution than 384. This XG35 and XG35 LRF, I think, are great options for anybody that's wanting 640 and don't want to spend $4,000.
Okay, so I agree with all that. I've got a couple things to add on the pro list. You thought I was so negative that
I left you an open window, because you got to redeem yourself a little bit on that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I do have a couple things on the pros, and then I'm gonna kind of roll into my thoughts there, like Hans, of who I think it's good for, to put a bow on this. So I think a pro is this battery life. This is the longest battery life that we have seen in the new Axions. The older Axions, the battery life was nowhere near this. So again, we're getting a 6.5 hour runtime on just a straight bench test. That's a legit 6.5 plus hours. That's really good. Again, as Hans said, bringing this down to in the field use, maybe that goes to 5 or 5.5 or maybe 6. I mean, legitimately it could. That's great. And you're doing that on a single removable, rechargeable, $79.99 battery. I mean, $80 for that. To me, if I was going to buy one of these, I would absolutely buy a spare battery. I think it's always good to have a spare battery. There's no reason not to. I mean, for the money, I think that's very affordable. I would have one spare battery. I think if you're a guy who really likes to go out and hunt long hours, possibly cold weather, maybe 2 of those batteries. I mean, that'd be a lot, but I mean, maybe 2. And I think you're going to be set. I think you're going to be good to go with that. And again, I think that's a very affordable and long-lasting battery. So I'm happy with that. The 2.5 power base mag, I really like that. Thank you, Pulsar, for making that 2.5. If that unit had been 3 or 3.5 or 4 or more, like we've seen some of the older Axions, I think this would be a hard sell for me. But at 2.5, it falls right there where a lot of the other popular handhelds do, just like the Pulsar Helion we keep talking about. It's 2.5 power. This is a great place. I mean, most guys that are anywhere in the South, they don't want more than 2.5 power on their handheld if they've had a chance to use different ones. 2 power wouldn't even be bad. Guys in the North can still use 2.5 power. I mean, especially when you're calling animals, you're scanning around, you get too much magnification you're going to narrow your field of view and you can miss something. So I really like the wide field of view and this 2.5 power. So I think that's good. Another thing I wanted to mention that, I mean, it goes without saying in some ways, but I know if you haven't held it, this thing's very ergonomic. And I mean, it is very, very natural where your fingers lay. So there's 4 buttons you can see here. My fingers naturally lay on those buttons, and you can feel the difference in the buttons. What I like is, even with gloves, you're going to be able to go up to the front and go, okay, that's my front button. That's my power. And if you press that button accidentally, just press it, all that it's going to do is calibrate it. Your screen's just going to flicker for 1/2 second. That's it. You're not hurting a single thing. You're not getting into a menu or something accidentally. So I go to my front button, and then I know I need to come back, and I can find my place from there. So I just think it's very easy to use, you know, the way it lays in your hand ergonomically. The only thing I will say, doesn't matter to me, and I know it's a small percentage of people, but I have guys that ask and say, what if I'm left-handed and it's awkward for me to use my right hand? Can I use it? I would say with the non-LRF version, yes, there's no reason you can't at all. You won't have the padded hand strap. It cannot be moved to the other side. But yes, you can absolutely do it. I think with the laser rangefinder model, it's going to be a little awkward. You can do it, but you've got your hand over that. It's doable. It's a little weird, but it's doable. So I just wanted to bring up that it is possible. Now, kind of rolling in here to my overall thoughts of, like I said, kind of putting a bow on it. I think this unit is really good for, and I've already talked about this, the magnification range. I think 2.5 fits a wide range. If you ask me, I got to have a monocular, and I want to be able to sell it to coyote hunters and hog hunters. What's a magnification? I'd say 2.5. I think that's just a good all around, not too much, not too little. Everybody can use it for scanning. So I like that. I think that with the battery life, even our northern guys that are going to be in the cold weather, I think it's still going to be good for them, thankfully, with these removable batteries, which is something that we always like. I also think that Hans has harped on this, and I'm going to say it again. The price point, it's a very good value for the dollar. I have used this unit. I've used all the Axions side by side, all the new units, and there is a significant upgrade difference in this. That's something that a lot of customers have asked me on the phone. Hey, I'm willing to spend the money on the XG, but is that 640 worth the $1,000? My answer to that is absolutely. I mean, if it's in your budget and you're not going to kill you to spend it, it's not more than you need to spend, yes, it is worth it. Now, I'm going to answer that question again, and you say, well, is the Helion worth it? Yes, if it's in your budget and it's not going to kill you to spend it, the Helion is worth it. But again, we're talking about going from 2,000 to 3,000 to 4. I mean, the price just keeps going up. And I understand that not everybody's going to be able to afford the Helion. That's where this unit comes in. If you already own a Helion, I don't think you're going to want to buy this and replace your Helion with it. I think now if you're looking for something really small, yes, I think it's good. But I think the Helion image quality is better. But this is again, I feel like we've said this 50 times. It's the in between. And there is the difference in 3,000 and 4,000 guys is 33%. So it's a big upgrade to get to that. This unit fills that gap, and it does a really, really good job of it. If I had a $2,500 to $3,000 budget, I would look very hard at this unit. I do think that some guys that own Helions are going to look at this unit though here with the LRF. I think that this is a very affordable way to get. And I go, your $3,500 is not affordable, but it's affordable to get a handheld and a laser rangefinder together. Because there's a lot of guys that have already got a scope. They love their scope. And it's like, man, and if you got a 640, it's like, well, if I want a 640 scope with a laser rangefinder, my options are very limited. And I'm going to spend $6,000. I don't want to do that. I've already spent it once. So this to me is that option and kind of bridges that gap. If you've got a high-end 640 scope, you want a handheld, and you really want a laser rangefinder, this is the way that I would go. So that is my 2 cents.
Right.
Hans, you got anything else you want to say about
That was
it?
more like 10 cents. No.
Yeah, it's only worth a penny, inflation.
Well, yeah, I do have something to add. If you are wanting to purchase a new night vision or thermal optic, please give us a call, 877-350-1818. You can find all the optics on the website, outdoorlegacygear.com. Hop on over there. There's links in the description of this video if you want to jump over and click right over to these XG35 models. We appreciate you watching, whether you're doing it on YouTube, whether you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, if you're watching on Facebook. Thank you for joining us. Please give us a like, a subscribe. We really appreciate all the followers. The channel continues to grow. The views, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. We're seeing a sharp uptick in the amount of traffic and watches and listens that we're getting, a very tremendous uptick in that. And it's all because of y'all and everybody that calls. I swear they say, hey, watch the show, love the show. So thank you again. If you're looking to find more information, past episodes, you can go do that at thelatenightvisionshow.com. You can also find Jason over at Outdoor Legacy on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on a lot of the forums. He's over there answering questions. You can find me on YouTube at Hans ETX. That's HANSETX. And you can find me on Instagram at the same thing, Hans ETX.
All right, guys. We really appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week with, don't know yet. Don't know if it's going to be a review or one of these shows that Hans has already planned out. He's given me a big list, so we got a lot to choose from. But we do have an exciting fall, as he mentioned, with all the best of 2022 coming. We're already working on those lists, scratching stuff out. And, guys, we got a lot to cram into each of those shows. We've got a lot of those shows to do between now and the end of the year. It does not seem like the end of the year is coming that soon, but I promise it's not going to be long.
Right.
And, we'll be singing jingle bells. So, guys, thanks for watching. Hope to see you again next week. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.